The moment we stepped into the banquet hall, I knew I'd screwed up bringing Andrea. I'd been hyping this up all week, my company's annual holiday dinner. It was a big deal, mostly because my dad owns the place and he treats it like a royal ball. Everyone kisses the ring, wears their best, and pretends we're all one big, happy corporate family. I wanted Andrea there because she mattered to me. I wanted her to see where I came from, meet my parents, my coworkers. I thought it'd be a good night. I didn't expect Kyle to act like a damn predator. I work in commercial tech sales. Kyle's technically in marketing, but let's be real, he only has a job because our dad made a spot for him. I've been busting my ass for 7 years. Kyle just cruises by on charm and a jawline he thinks is God's gift to women. We hadn't even taken 3 steps into the room before he shoved our mom aside, literally moved her out of his way, to get to Andrea first. "Andrea," he said, dragging out her name like some old lover. Then he pulled her into this long hug, too long, and I saw the way he squeezed her waist. She leaned back the second he let go, and I swear, she looked at me like, what the hell was that? Before we go on, quick note, share which city or country you're watching from. We walked further in, and I tried to brush it off. But the whole night, Kyle kept finding ways to slide in next to her. If I sat down next to Andrea, he'd sit on her other side. If she moved to get food, he was 2 steps behind her. At one point, he brushed her arm and said, "You wore that color just to mess with me, didn't you?" She laughed nervously and took a step away. I noticed, but no one else seemed to care. The final straw was during dinner. Kyle cut a piece of his steak, held it out to her on his fork, and said, "You've got to try this. Trust me." Andrea blinked. "I'm good, thanks." "You sure?" He pushed, still holding the damn fork toward her mouth. She leaned back and said, "Yeah, I'm good." He finally dropped it, but I was grinding my teeth so hard I barely tasted my food. Then he started telling stories from high school, stuff he twisted on purpose, like how I once jumped off the roof into a frozen pool, trying to impress a girl. Made it sound like I was drunk and out of control. My parents laughed like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. Andrea glanced at me, but I didn't say a word. I just watched Kyle smirk while everyone else let it slide. And I knew, we weren't just dealing with a weird brother here. Something was seriously off. After dinner, Andrea excused herself to help clean up, even though I told her she didn't need to. That was just who she was, always trying to be polite, respectful. My mom smiled like it was the first decent thing she'd seen all night. I told her I'd be right back. I had to help my dad load some boxes of leftover wine into his car. He was half drunk and rambling about tax write-offs. I didn't want to leave Andrea alone too long, but I figured it was 10 minutes, tops. Turned out to be 10 too many. I came back in through the back hallway, heading toward the break room where most of the cleanup happened. I could hear voices before I even hit the door, low, tense. One of them was Andrea. "No, Kyle, I already said no," she was saying. Then his voice, calm, but smug. "Come on, you don't really want to be stuck with him forever." My stomach dropped. I pushed the door open fast, and there it was. Andrea was pressed up against the sink. Her arms were stiff at her sides. Kyle had one hand on the counter next to her, his body angled in close, blocking her in. He wasn't touching her, technically, but he might as well have been. "You deserve someone exciting," he was saying, leaning in like he was auditioning for a damn romance movie. Not a washed-up boring guy like. I stepped inside hard. Get the hell away from her. Andrea's eyes shot to mine, and she practically launched herself across the room. She clung to my arm, her whole body tense. Kyle took a lazy step back and smirked like we'd all just walked into the punchline of a bad joke. "Jesus, man, chill out. We were just talking." Andrea shook her head. He wouldn't let me leave. I told him to back off, twice. Kyle raised both hands like some kind of clown. "Relax, Andrea. I was joking. Christ, you two need to lighten up." I stepped forward. "You corner her again, and I'll break your damn nose." He just smiled wider, like I was the one being unhinged. "Sure, man, sure. Real stable of you." I didn't swing. I wanted to. But Andrea was still holding my arm, and I felt her fingers dig into my sleeve. She was shaking, whether from anger or fear, I couldn't even tell. Probably both. My mom walked by right then, glanced inside, didn't say a word, just kept walking, like she didn't see a thing. We left 10 minutes later. Told my dad Andrea wasn't feeling well. He gave me a sideways look. "She's not pregnant, is she?" he asked with a smirk. I didn't answer. Just walked out. The drive home was quiet. Andrea stared out the window most of the way. She had one hand on her lap, gripping the fabric of her dress so tight it looked like it might rip. I reached over and grabbed her hand. She didn't pull away, but she didn't say anything either. When we got to her apartment, I parked and turned off the car. "You want me to come up?" She nodded, still quiet. Inside, she finally broke. "I didn't know what to do," she said. I tried to leave. He wouldn't move. I sat down next to her on the couch. "You did everything right." She looked at me then. "He said you were boring, that you didn't excite me." I clenched my jaw. He's a lying, arrogant little prick who thinks he's untouchable. She wiped her eyes. It felt calculated, like he wasn't even surprised to get caught. I thought back to that smirk, that casual, smug expression like none of it mattered. He thinks he can get away with anything, I said. Andrea nodded slowly. And your parents just let him. That was the part that kept looping in my head. The way my mom didn't even blink when she walked by. The way my dad joked at the end like everything was fine. Next time he pulls something, I said, we're not walking away. I don't care who he is. Andrea leaned into me, and I wrapped my arm around her. She didn't cry, but I could feel how tense her body was, like every nerve was still on edge. We sat like that for a long time. No TV, no music, just the weight of what had happened pressing down on both of us. And in the back of my mind, I already knew this wasn't over. Not even close. That night, Andrea stayed over. She didn't say it out loud, but I knew she didn't want to be alone. We both tried to act normal the next morning. Coffee, silence, the usual. I drove her to work, kissed her goodbye, told her to text me if anything felt off. 2 days later, the voicemail started. Blocked number, just static and breathing at first. Long pauses, faint mouth sounds, like someone just sitting there, listening to her breathe. She played me one and said, "This is messed up, right?" "Messed up," I said. "It's disgusting." "Block it." She did. Then a new number came. This one left a voicemail. "You made the wrong choice." That's it. Just that line. Calm, cold. Then came another. Stuck-up tease. "You act all classy, but you like the attention." I felt sick. "Does that sound like Kyle to you?" she asked, holding out the phone. I listened again. The voice was muffled but familiar. It wasn't Kyle, but I knew that drawl. I'd heard it at barbecues and stupid golf outings. "Brady," I said. "That's Brady Chandler. His voice always cracks when he lies." Andrea blinked. "Your brother's friend?" "Yeah. They were in that damn frat together at Arizona State. He does freelance security stuff now through Dad's firm." She blocked the number. Then another message came from a different one. This time they referenced what she wore to work. The maroon skirt that hugs just right. That's what they said. Hugs just right. "They're watching me," Andrea whispered. "Quick note before we continue. What would you do if someone started stalking your partner? Drop your city in the comments while you're here." We went to her building's security. They pulled footage. There he was, Brady, standing outside her office building, across the street, just watching. Coffee in hand like he had every right to be there. Another name came up, Eric. That one hit harder because I'd actually recommended him for a temp sales role last year. Now his number was popping up in Andrea's call log. Different city code. Same game. She started taking the back entrance at work, wearing baggier clothes, hunched shoulders. She was terrified, but trying to hide it. One night, she called me crying from the parking garage. Said someone followed her to her car. She hadn't seen his face, but she knew he was behind her the whole time. I dropped everything and drove straight there. When I pulled up, she was standing near the exit with her keys clutched like a weapon. Her friend Mallory stood beside her, tense, scanning the lot. I walked up fast. "You okay?" Andrea nodded, but her jaw was clenched tight. Mallory said. He peeled out when he saw my car circle back. Older model black Jeep. No plates on the front. I called my buddy Drew to tail us home. He followed behind in his Dodge Ram, while Andrea rode with me. She didn't speak the whole ride, just sat there with her phone in her hand like it might explode again. That night, I checked every camera I had at my place. Replaced the batteries. Put in 2 more ring units near the back door and patio. I texted my dad and told him something was going on with Kyle's idiot friends. I didn't go into details, just wanted him to know things were about to get real. He didn't answer. Andrea didn't sleep much. Neither did I. Next morning, another voicemail came. Same tone, same dead rhythm. "You're not special. You think he can protect you? He doesn't even know what's coming." That's when I knew this wasn't just a game anymore. It was a warning. The next morning, I showed up to work with a flash drive in my pocket and rage boiling under my skin. I had everything. Screenshots of Andrea's call logs, voicemails, security footage of Brady loitering outside her office, the works. I didn't care who was in meetings or what my calendar said. I marched straight past the receptionist and into my dad's office without knocking. Kyle was already in there, lounging in the leather chair like he owned the place. Our mom sat across from him, sipping coffee like it was a Sunday brunch. Dad looked up, annoyed. "You can't just barge in." I dropped the flash drive on his desk. "We need to talk. Now." Mom gave me a tight smile. "Can this wait?" "No," I said sharp. "Kyle's friends are stalking Andrea, and he's behind it." Kyle let out this fake laugh, shook his head. "Are you serious right now?" I looked straight at my dad. She's getting voicemails, calls from burner numbers, guys she barely knows showing up at her work. One followed her to her damn car. Dad stared like I was speaking a different language. "Do you have proof?" "Yeah." I pointed to the flash drive. "Plenty." Kyle leaned back, smirking. Maybe she shouldn't dress like that if she doesn't want attention. That did it. I stepped forward and swung. Nothing hard, just enough to wipe that smug look off his face. My fist clipped his cheekbone, barely grazed him, but he went flying out of the chair like I'd shattered his skull. "Oh my God!" Mom shrieked, dropping her coffee. Kyle clutched his face like a soccer player faking an injury. "You broke my nose." "There's no blood," I snapped. Dad shot up. "Get out, now." I ignored him. "You want to act like a man, Kyle? Say that line again to my face." "Jealous psycho," he muttered, still covering his cheek. Mom rushed to his side, dabbing his face with tissues. "This is exactly what we've been worried about. You've always had a temper." I stared at her. "You're seriously defending him?" She stood up, her face stone cold. "Andrea probably led him on. You bring a woman around who flirts with your brother, then get mad when he flirts back?" "Andrea, flirting with Kyle." I laughed once, just one bitter bark. "You people are out of your damn minds." Dad pointed to the door. "You need help. And if you ever put your hands on your brother again, you're fired." "You're threatening me? After everything he's done?" "You have no proof," he said flatly. "Check the damn drive." "We don't need to see it," Mom said. "We know Kyle." "Exactly," I snapped. "You do know him. That's the problem." Kyle sat there sniffling like a toddler. "He's unstable. Always has been." I walked over to the desk, picked the flash drive back up. "You'll regret this." Dad crossed his arms. "If you walk out of this office, don't come crying when your career goes down with you." I looked him dead in the eye. "If I walk out, it's because I still have a shred of self-respect." And I walked fast, didn't look back, didn't wait for some dramatic last word. Just hit the hallway, slammed the door behind me, and got in my car. As soon as I pulled out of the lot, I called Andrea. She picked up on the first ring. "Well?" she asked, voice tight. "They're not just ignoring it," I said. "They're blaming you." She didn't say anything. "I punched Kyle," I added. That got a small exhale. "Good." I gripped the wheel tighter. "I'm done with them. All of them." There was no hesitation. "Me too." We walked into the precinct the next morning with everything: flash drive, printouts, timestamps, names. The front desk clerk barely glanced at us before sending us to wait. 20 minutes later, a female officer came out, late 30s maybe, brown uniform stretched tight across her vest. She introduced herself as Officer Gleason and led us to a back room. I laid everything out. Andrea stayed quiet, her hands folded so tight her knuckles were white. "We've got multiple block calls," I said. "Some traceable. 2 guys we know, Brady Chandler and Eric Langley. Security footage from Andrea's office, 2 different angles. One of them followed her to her car." Gleason leaned over the laptop, watching the footage I queued up. Her brow creased when Brady appeared on screen, standing across from Andrea's office building. She asked, "Brady Chandler?" I nodded. "Yeah, Kyle's old frat buddy. Works for our dad's company now. Contract role." Her face changed. Just a flicker, but I caught it. "Brady Chandler," she repeated, slower. "You mean the councilman's son?" Andrea glanced at me. "Yeah," I said. "So." Officer Gleason clicked her pen and sat back. "I'm going to be honest. That complicates things." "What the hell does that mean?" I asked. "It means," she said carefully, "there are optics involved when public figures' families are accused of things, especially without clear intent to harm." I stared at her. "You have them on video. You have voicemails. What more do you need?" "A signed confession." "Quick note before we keep going. What would you do if the cops straight up ignored evidence like this? Let us know where you're watching from." Gleason sighed. "I'm not saying we're ignoring it. We'll issue a warning to the individuals we can confirm. But unless there's a direct threat or physical contact, it's hard to press charges, especially against someone we can't tie to the calls directly, like your brother." Andrea's voice cracked. "They know things about what I wear, where I park, how I walk home." "I understand that's upsetting," Gleason said, "but it's not illegal to notice someone or make a phone call that doesn't contain a threat." I leaned forward. "So unless they grab her, you're just gonna let this go?" She didn't answer. "They issued warnings, nothing more. To the guys on camera, not Kyle. No arrests, no statements, just a quiet suggestion to back off." That night, my dad called. His voice was ice. "You really dragged this crap to the police? You're lucky I didn't take it to the press. You're embarrassing this family," he said. "You're pushing it, and if you keep going, you're out. Don't think working in another department protects you." "Fire me," I snapped. "I'll bury you in paperwork and lawsuits." He hung up. An hour later, my mom sent a string of texts, long ones. "You're tearing this family apart. Andrea is poisoning you. You used to be so close with Kyle. You can't just throw blood away over a misunderstanding." I didn't reply. Andrea saw the texts, didn't say anything for a while, just sat at the table, staring at her untouched tea. "I'm starting to dread going to work," she said eventually. "Every time someone walks behind me, I flinch." Her anxiety started spiraling fast after that. 3 days in a row, she woke up shaking, couldn't breathe. Twice she had to pull over on the drive-in. The third time, she called me in tears from the parking lot. "I can't do it," she whispered. "I'm afraid I'll see one of them in the lobby." Her supervisor noticed, called her into the office. asked if she needed to take time off. She didn't want to explain, but she was falling apart in front of people. It was obvious something was wrong. That night, she sat on the floor with her head in her hands and said, "They're winning." I knelt next to her. Not for long, because I was done asking for help. I was ready to take it. 2 days later, my mom called again, left a voicemail, soft voice, cracking like she was about to cry. "I just want to fix this," she said. "Can we all have dinner? Kyle wants to apologize. No drama, I promise. Just family." I let it sit. Didn't answer right away. Andrea saw me staring at the screen and said, "They're baiting us." "I know," I said, "but if there's even a chance to shut this down, I want to see how far they're willing to go." We agreed to show up, but separately. Andrea would drive her car, just in case she needed to leave early. I promised her if things got weird, we'd walk out. We didn't expect a damn ambush. We got to the house at 6. The second we walked into the dining room, I saw way too many chairs. Not just my parents and Kyle, but aunts, uncles, cousins, and half a dozen of Kyle's friends, including Brady and Eric. My mom greeted us like nothing was off. "Look who's here," she said, fake cheerful. "Come on, sit." We already started appetizers. Andrea stopped cold. I leaned in. "We don't have to stay." She took a breath. "Let's see what he says first." We sat. My dad raised a glass. "Good. Everyone's here. Let's clear the air." Kyle leaned forward, face smooth like he'd rehearsed. "I just want to say, I never meant for things to get out of hand." Andrea tilted her head. "That's not an apology." He blinked, then looked at our mom. "Well," she jumped in, "maybe now's a good time to be honest, Andrea. You've sent some mixed signals." I felt my blood pressure spike. "Are you serious?" "Before we go on, have you ever been ambushed by your own family like this? Drop your city in the comments if you're still watching." Then Uncle Ray spoke up. "I think what your mom means is, it's hard to tell what really happened." Andrea stiffened. Eric chimed in from across the table. "Look, I went by her office just to say hi. I was checking on her. That's it." Brady jumped in. "Same here. I was worried. You know, after everything blew up." Andrea's hand tightened around her fork. Then Kyle played the martyr. "This whole thing's been hard on me too. I keep asking myself, did I misread something? I thought we had a connection." I slammed my hand down on the table. "You pinned her against a sink and told her she deserved better. You call that a misread?" My mom cut in. "Lower your voice." One of Kyle's friends leaned forward, smirking. "Maybe she's just under a lot of stress. I mean, night shifts mess people up. Mental health is real." Andrea went pale. Another one spoke up, voice way too casual. "Didn't you wear that little black skirt a few weeks ago? With the gold buttons? You looked, anyway, yeah, maybe that kind of thing gives the wrong idea." She shot up from her chair like she'd been electrocuted. "That's what I wore 3 Thursdays ago," she said, backing away from the table. "I left the building through the side entrance that night." No one said a word. Her breathing turned shallow. I could see it happening, her chest rising fast, fingers trembling, eyes darting. I stood. "She's having a panic attack. We're leaving. She's unstable," someone muttered. Andrea bolted for the door. I turned to Kyle. "You and your buddies have been watching her, stalking her. And you're all sitting here pretending like it's normal. You're twisting everything," my mom said. "She's not well." I followed Andrea out to her car. She was leaning against the door, gripping the handle like she was trying not to collapse. "I can't breathe," she gasped. "Look at me," I said, pulling her into a hug. "You're okay. We're leaving. Right now." I didn't even bother to shut the front door on the way out. We didn't talk to my parents for weeks after that dinner. Total silence. No calls. No texts. Just distance. Then Jessica called. She was my cousin on my dad's side, but one of the only people who actually believed us. She'd been at the holiday banquet. She saw the way Kyle acted. She wasn't afraid to say it out loud, either. "I know things are tense," she said over the phone, "but I want you and Andrea at the wedding. Your family. And I've already told security to keep eyes on Kyle." "Wait," I said. "You invited him?" "I had to," she admitted. "It was a fight with my parents. But I'm not letting him ruin the day. I promise. Security knows. And my husband's brother is ex-law enforcement. He'll be there." Andrea didn't want to go. I didn't blame her. But Jessica meant something to us. She defended Andrea when no one else would. We showed up together. Andrea wore a dark green dress that fell to her knees. Simple, clean, nothing flashy. But still, I caught Kyle staring from across the courtyard as we walked in. I felt Andrea tense beside me. I leaned down. "We stick together. The second he moves, we're out." She nodded once. The ceremony went smoothly. Kyle stayed on the opposite side of the aisle, surrounded by the usual crew of frat boy rejects still clinging to their glory days. I kept my eyes on him during the vows. He didn't move, didn't even blink. But during the reception, things shifted. Andrea excused herself to use the restroom. I watched her go, walked the path with my eyes. She turned the corner toward the bathrooms, heels clicking softly against the stone floor. 2 minutes later, I realized Kyle was gone. I stood up from our table and scanned the room. Gone. That sick feeling hit my gut again. I moved fast, around the dance floor, down the hall, past the buffet. Then I heard something. Muffled voices coming from the patio side hallway near the restrooms. I turned the corner and stopped cold. Kyle had her pinned against the wall. One arm braced beside her head, his body pressed into hers. His other hand was on her waist. He was leaning in, trying to kiss her. Andrea's face was twisted in panic. Her hands were against his chest, trying to push him off. I shouted his name so loud it cracked the damn hallway. He turned, startled, like he hadn't expected to get caught. Andrea shoved him hard and bolted toward me. "You piece of shit," I charged. But before I could reach him, two bodies flew past me. Jessica's husband Ryan and his brother Matt, the off-duty cop. Matt yanked Kyle by the collar and slammed him into the opposite wall. "Don't move." Ryan pulled Andrea toward me. "You okay?" She was shaking so bad she couldn't speak. I held her tight while she buried her face in my chest. Kyle was still trying to play it off. I didn't touch her. She came onto me. Matt didn't even blink. "You're done." 10 minutes later, blue and red lights lit up the courtyard. The cops showed up fast. Matt handed everything over, his statement, his badge number, even the venue security footage that backed it all up. My parents showed up just in time to make it worse. My mom screamed the second she saw the handcuffs. "What are you doing?" "He didn't do anything." Dad tried to push past the officers. "This is a misunderstanding. You've got the wrong idea." Matt stepped between them and the squad car. "Touch me, and you're next." Kyle kept yelling the whole time. I didn't do anything. She wanted it. She followed me. I walked Andrea toward the car. Her face was pale, but she was breathing steady now, still shaking, but no longer frozen. Jessica caught up to us in the parking lot. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I thought we had enough security." I stopped her. "You did everything right. This wasn't your fault." Andrea spoke then, voice hoarse. "Thank you for believing me." Jessica's eyes welled up. "Always." Behind us, I heard the squad car door slam shut. Kyle was finally off the leash. The morning after the wedding, it started. Texts, emails, voicemails, all from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. My mom kicked it off with a group message. "Andrea set Kyle up. This is all a smear campaign. She's manipulating my son and destroying our family." Then came the phone calls. Aunts, uncles, cousins, most of them quoting the same lines. Andrea led him on. "She dressed for attention. Kyle must read it. That's all." One even said, "She's done this before, hasn't she?" Women like that always have a past. My dad went further. He started calling execs across the local tech network, sent emails to contacts I'd built over the last decade, telling them I was a liability, unstable, emotional, dragged private family matters into public, he wrote. I found out when my old coworker forwarded me one of the emails. "You should sue him," she wrote. "This is defamation, plain and simple." So we did. We hired a lawyer the next day, real pitbull type. He went straight to work gathering statements. Jessica came through first, then Matt, then Ryan. People from the wedding submitted phone videos, security footage, eyewitness accounts. The case was rock solid, but that didn't stop the noise. "You sure you want to do this?" Andrea asked me one night while we packed up her apartment. "It's your family. They made their choice," I said. "Now I'm making mine." She'd just accepted a new job, senior data coordinator at a regional firm 300 miles north. They were thrilled to have her. No baggage, no drama. Just a fresh start. I arranged to work remote, cut back my hours, told my team I needed a long relocation buffer. We found a place with a view of the river, small yard, quiet neighborhood. Andrea smiled for the first time in weeks just driving down the street. The night before we moved, I blocked every number tied to my family. My parents, Kyle, group chats, even cousins. I went scorched earth, one block at a time. Andrea watched me from the couch. "You okay?" I nodded. "This is overdue." I didn't expect the relief to hit so fast, but it did. We drove out of town at sunrise. Just us. The car was packed tight with boxes, coffee cups, and silence. But it wasn't heavy. It felt like finally exhaling. No more staged dinners. No more excuses. No more pretending that blood meant loyalty. It was over, and we weren't looking back. For years past. No contact, no updates, no drama. Andrea and I got married in a small courthouse ceremony with just a few close friends and Jessica. No speeches, no photographers, just a quiet moment we owned. We bought a house outside Columbus, 3-bed ranch, decent yard, room for a future. That future finally came. Andrea was 6 months pregnant with our first daughter. Then my mom called. I didn't recognize the number. She must have borrowed someone's phone because I'd blocked every line she'd ever used. But I answered, out of instinct or stupidity, I don't even know. Her voice was wrecked, sobbing, broken. "Kyle's in jail," she said. "It's bad." I didn't say anything. She kept going. "He married this girl, Leah, sweet girl, quiet. We thought she was good for him. But, oh God, they found her. She's in the hospital. Broken ribs, bruises everywhere. He locked her in the house for days. She tried to crawl to a neighbor's porch. I gripped the edge of the counter and stared out the window at our backyard. The dog barked at a squirrel, totally unaware our world was getting dragged back into hell. "And why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because," she said, choking on the words, "they arrested your father too. Obstruction. Turns out he threatened Leah's boss. Said if she talked, he'd ruin her family. Same thing he did to Andrea." That pulled something deep out of me, a mix of rage and bitter satisfaction. "So they finally got caught," I said. She cried harder. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "You didn't know?" I snapped. "You just didn't care until it finally touched you." Before we go on, what would you say to a parent calling you after years of silence and lies? Drop your thoughts in the comments. There was a long silence on the line. Then, "You were right. About everything." "Too late," I said. "He's ruined everything," she whispered. "Leah's family is pressing charges. They're going to testify in court. It's all over the news." I looked over at Andrea, asleep on the couch, her hand resting on her stomach. "Peaceful. Safe. I don't know what to do," my mom said. "I have no one left." "You had a choice," I said. "You backed the wrong son." She went quiet again. Then, softly, like she was peeling back something she'd buried, she said, "We always knew Kyle had problems. Since he was a kid. The lies, the manipulation, the way he twisted things. But your father didn't want to see it. Said he was just spirited, confident." "No," I said. "He was a monster. And you helped him grow into one." She sniffed. "Do you hate me?" I didn't answer. "Instead," I said, "Leah's going to need help. You can start there. Not with me. You're not coming home." "There is no home." She tried one more time. "Can I just meet the baby when she comes?" I looked at the phone, then back out the window. The sky was gray, but calm. "I don't know," I said. "That's not up to me alone." Then I hung up. Andrea stirred on the couch and looked at me. "Who was it?" "My mom," I said. "Kyle's in jail. So is my dad. He beat his wife. My dad helped cover it up." Her face didn't change much. Just a slow nod. "Of course he did." I sat down next to her and took her hand. "She wants to meet the baby." Andrea's grip tightened just slightly. "And," I told her, "it's not just my call." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "We'll figure it out." I looked around the room. The baby books, the unopened crib box, the framed sonogram on the table. We'd built something real, away from the noise, away from the rot, and no one was tearing it down. 3 months ago, our daughter was born. 8 pounds, healthy lungs, full head of dark hair. She came out fighting, and I knew. She didn't get that from me. That was Andrea's fire. Andrea held her first, whispered something I couldn't hear, then looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "We're okay," she said. And we were. Andrea's job was going better than ever. Her team promoted her 2 weeks after she came back from maternity leave. She was running circles around half the department. Her old supervisor called it a comeback. I called it her finally getting what she always deserved. I'd quit corporate altogether and started consulting. Just me, a few clients, no one to report to, no office politics, no family name attached. The peace was quiet, but it was steady, clean. Then the letter came. Thick envelope, unfamiliar handwriting. Inside, 5 pages from my mother. She said she was in therapy, that she was divorcing my father, that she'd left the house and hadn't spoken to Kyle in months. She said she finally saw it. All of it. Said she was sorry for not believing us, for defending him, for staying silent. We didn't write back. Andrea read it once, folded it in half, and slid it into the drawer next to the birth certificates and passports. "We'll talk about it someday," she said. "But not today." And that was fair. We had talked, though, about the future, about boundaries, supervised contact, maybe, a slow rebuild, maybe, but only on our terms. Meanwhile, Leah was recovering. Jessica helped us connect quietly, no pressure. Leah wasn't ready to talk much, but she appreciated knowing she wasn't alone. She was staying with a cousin upstate, going back to school, slowly building her own way out. Andrea mailed her a baby photo, just one, a soft olive onesie and a sleepy half-smile. No words needed. I sat on the couch the other night, our daughter curled up on my chest, snoring with her little fists tucked under her chin. Andrea was asleep beside me. The house was still, no phones buzzing, no drama. And I thought, this is what it looks like when you cut it all off. When you stop explaining, stop begging. When you burn the rotten roots and walk away. That cycle ends with me. It had to.